I'd like to talk about universal grief and what I mean by that. But before we delve into it, I would like to introduce myself. I'm Ghazala at the Heart and Soul Cafe. If you've been here before, thank you so much for coming back. And if you're here for the very first time, then you're very, very welcome. So universal grief, what do I mean? Well, I was at a conference, a bereavement conference a couple of days ago in London, in one of the main hospitals in London. It was a hospital trust that had arranged it. And I was there representing the charity that I volunteer for, where I do my bereavement counselling. And I had a few colleagues with me, and I had been asked to do a talk there. And I was honoured. I was honoured to do that because I'm really proud of being, to be a part of this charity. And there was, I think, more than just over 150 people in that very large room. And I talked about the topic was very much about how to return to work after experiencing loss, and that's something that I have talked about. I've made videos about how to make that transition as best as possible. And so I shared my story. I listened to some wonderful people sharing their stories about loss and talking about their wonderful charities as well, and some of the brilliant work they do. So one thing that really hit me was, wow, there's so many different demographics in this room, from different walks of life, cultures, religiosity, all sorts of differences, career-wise, people's differences. And when people talked about their loss, it was almost as if we were talking the same language. People were saying, almost the same thing. It was almost identical in that grief, the way, the amount of pain and how that pain is, how people try to process it, how grief comes in waves. And I suppose the thing that really resonated with me was the fact that through the loss, all of us wanted to try to help others in honor of the person that we had lost. And that was the driving force. And I thought, wow, it just made me think that, you're absolutely not alone. And I think, I'm going to get onto this, but, I think the main message of this video is, you are not alone in your grief. If you're living a life which is, if you're living sort of in seclusion and you're just hiding yourself away because of your loss, because you don't know who to turn to, who you might be able to share this with, and you might be feeling, I'm so isolated in my pain. I'm here to tell you that you're not alone. Because I felt that in that room, there was, like I say, over 150 people, and throughout it was a whole day thing. So throughout the day, we heard so many personal stories, tragedies with people's, loss, around their loss, and a few people used the word family as if it felt like that we were part of a family where we had experienced similar things in our lives, and not the same thing and not the same experience, but similar. And so that and I've talked about, finding your people. So I felt as if I was amongst my people, that, there was so many people there that I could relate to, that, I made a connection with. After my talk, I had a couple of, ladies come to me who I didn't know, who, wanted to give me a hug. And I thought, oh, that's the best thing I've heard today. And, so it was so enriching. And I think my message today again is really, I do think about, because I counsel women who have experienced loss, and I hear their pain, and they share with me how secluded their life has become as a result of their loss. I can almost envisage people, hiding away. And because I was there at one time, I was there, in my bedroom, for months and months and months after my loss, feeling, I feel so isolated and alone, although there's people around me. I don't know who to open up to, who to share this with, who to tell. People that know me really well have heard my story. I can't keep repeating myself. I can't keep burdening others. If I feel that my loved ones around me are having a reasonably good day, I don't want to then share how I'm feeling to sort of spoil their day. And I feel that I don't want to do that. So I need to find my people outside of this home. And that was a thought that came to me a bit later on. I don't think I thought about that when I was at my lowest. It probably isn't. If you are at that low sort of place, hear me when I say that if you just make that little bit of an effort to just take that first step and reach out and call someone or go and see someone, you'll be surprised how many people you may come across who have had similar experiences. And when you hear their stories, it makes you feel, it doesn't take it away what you're carrying, and that's not what I'm saying, but what I am saying is you don't feel so alone in your, journey through grief. Holding somebody's hand or feeling held by somebody while you're going through this grief makes it so much more doable than doing it alone. And I think because of that reason, please take that first step. So universal grief is, because I've named this video Universal Grief, because we were just hearing the same thing over and over again. But there's those nuances, isn't there, which makes, I suppose, the outcome a little bit different of where you are now because of your cultural differences or how you think, how you receive what's going on around you. And your I suppose cultural and religious differences then come in, don't they, and environmental differences. And it's very circumstantial as well, because people talked about losing people through suicide, people talked about miscarriage, people talked about illnesses, people talked about old age when it came to their parents passing away. So there's so many things shared. But what I'm saying is the actual core of the pain of grief was universal. That's what was universal. So, please don't feel that, you're alone. And that is the main message of this video, because that's the thing that I took away from that. Although, being asked to speak there, obviously comes with some stress. I had to, get myself ready for that. But once I had done it, I was actually really pleased that I had. It's not the first time that I've sort of spoken in front of people about bereavement, grief. It's something that I do every so often. But the feeling that you get afterwards is, yes, I feel that, I might have just reached somebody in that room, somebody who's listening, and just maybe inspired them just slightly with something that I've said. And then that's job done, isn't it? That's job done. And yeah, that's the main thing. That's the main thing. And yeah, so thank you for listening. Please, reach out if you are struggling alone and you've ended up in this place where you just don't know what way to turn. There is people out there. There is people that have a similar story to yours, and where you may feel that, you know, this is just helping a little. It's just helping withstand that wound that you have. Not make it go away, not make it disappear, because no one's going to be able to do that. But we need to be real about this and realistic. I mean, that's how I am. You know, I know that it's never going to go away. Grief doesn't have an expiry date. It's just finding ways to live your best life with what it is that you're carrying. Please do comment, please do share, please do like and subscribe. Thank you to those of you who have subscribed. I really do appreciate that so much. And I look forward to seeing you in the next video. Until then, look after your hearts and souls. Thank you.